Welcome to Scale Model Kit Review. This is Steve. Up next is the Atomic City Studio Scale Orion from 2001 A Space Odyssey. It's in 1/48 scale. It measures 42 inches. This model was produced by Captain Cardboard, also known as Scott Alexander. This is an all resin kit and not for the beginner. Not pictured and hard to see is the wing assembly. The wing assembly is one piece, but it does come with separate flaps and ailerons and separate smaller engine components and panels. This kit does not include instructions, but does come with very nice decals. All the main fuselage parts are hollow, and we'll look at those here in a little bit individually. This kit, of course, is produced in California by Captain Cardboard, also known as Scott Alexander. And I recently acquired this one from him. This is 2018. I know there's some people out there who have had issues with getting kits from Scott, but I never have. I've received several kits from him, never had a problem. I've always paid him in full for those kits. And whenever I've had an issue with them, I've emailed him, and he's replied back to me. I know he's gone through some health issues in the past, and I'm pretty sure he still has effects from the health issue that he had, as anybody would if they knew what condition that he actually had. But anyway, Scott's always been a upfront guy with me, and I've never had problems with Scott at all when I purchased any of his studio kits. But this is a fantastic kit. This is one of those ones I've been wanting for a long time. At 41 inches, it will make a very nice display. It's huge, and I think it's a fantastic kit. Obviously, it's not for the beginner. It's going to need some cleanup, but I'm looking forward to building this one. Definitely going to have to mount it on a heavy-duty armature so it can help support it, because it's not, even though it's hollow, the components are very heavy. Included are some of the smaller components here. I'll take them out of the box. We'll look at them a little bit closer in a little bit. But we do have some of the engine details, some of the flaps and ailerons, some of the engine nozzles. And these are the flap details here, molded separately. So we'll look at those in a second. But anyway, this is a super cool studio scale Orion, and I thought I'd share it with y'all. First, let's look at the one-piece wing assembly. It's very large. Can't get the whole thing into the screen here. But if I measure it from tip to tip, it measures 21.5 inches. If I measure to the front of the wing assembly, it measures around, we'll say 12.5 from this point to this point. Very detailed recessed panel lines. And you can see we have the intake details here on each wing. Next we have the main body, and like I was saying, it is hollow. Scott does tell me that in order to do an interior for this, it would scale out to be around 1/60th scale versus the 1/48th scale. The whole kit is actually in 1/48th scale. But to have the interior fit inside of this, it's 1/60th, and he said that was real common of your model makers, your model makers in the movie studios to do that with their models. So that's the case here. So if you wanted to scratch build an interior for this, it scales out around 1/60th scale. Let me just measure this portion here, and we're talking about 17.5 inches. But very impressive. Going to need some cleanup, obviously, being it is a garage kit. Studio scale size, huge. It's the biggest Orion kit out there that you can get. Still available from Scott Alexander, Captain Cardboard. So he still sells them. I see him show up on eBay every now and again, along with the X-Wing that he provides. Next we have the engine tail cone, the engine exhaust area of the Orion. It's one piece. Also hollow. This one's actually a little bit heavier because it is kind of more solid than it is hollow. It's probably hollow from, well, it's hollow all the way through. Definitely a lot heavier. Obviously it's going to need a little more cleanup on the bottom there, a little bit of a seam there, but otherwise smooth it out some. Very nice. Next we have the front fuselage section, or the nose cone area of the Orion. It's also hollow, and it's very thin here around the windows, so that should clean out real nice. So you can put a full cockpit in it if you'd like, because it is hollow. Details once again on the bottom. There is a seam that will need to be cleaned up, and of course the inlet, the nose inlet, will need to be cleaned up also. This makes for a very nice front section. When I was at Scott's house picking up another kit a few years back, I actually got to see the prototype of this before he released it, and I got to hold it, and it was just a thrill to get to hold it in my hand, and from then on I've always wanted this. So this particular piece measures a little over 12 inches. So next we have the two flap and aileron assemblies of the wing, and they're very nicely molded, cast in resin. Here's some seam lines and some rough areas that need to be smoothed out. But other than that, I haven't really seen any pinholes in the resin, which is very good. Resin has a tendency to bubble up and give you quite a bit of pinholes. So in this case, I haven't seen any, Just some seam work and a couple of scratches here and there. So here's the rear antennas that go on the rear fuselage where the engines are. Here's some of the speed brakes. Some additions to the bottom of the aircraft itself, of the spacecraft, Orion spacecraft. Some additions to the Orion spacecraft on the bottom. We have some nozzles here, some engine inlet intakes here, and a couple of exhaust cones, looks like there. You have your engine turbine blades. I'm not going to take them out, they are kind of fragile. And some more details to the fuselage. And no instructions are provided with the kit, but if you're a model builder, you pretty much configure where everything needs to go. Plus there are some reference photographs I was able to download for this. But anyway, the decals that are provided are microscale, produced by microscale, and they are not, printed off somebody's Epson printer or anything like that. You definitely have some you can definitely see where the decal film ends for each one. And Scott did provide 2 copies in case you mess up on one, which was very nice of him.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
And there you have it. This was the Atomic City Studio Scale Orion from 2001: A Space Odyssey in 1/48 scale, produced by Captain Cardboard or Scott Alexander. This kit measures in 42 inches. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and share. Happy modeling, everybody. Go build something.